Hi everyone, this is Dan and the Future Holds Crypto. Call your friends, call your family, and inform them that crypto is actually inevitable. So we actually had a very interesting week again, and actually it was a historical month for Bitcoin and for the entire crypto market because Bitcoin is dragging everything along with it. I'm going to try to make a shorter video than usual. Hopefully I will be able to do that. I usually end up rambling about stuff. So today we're going to talk about what happened recently with Bitcoin, with what is the prospect for the entire market. I'm going to also talk about some fundamentals here and maybe reference some videos that I already posted that will help you guys that if you entered the market recently or if you don't have a lot of information that seems to be obvious sometimes. Also we're going to talk about CBDCs again, and I'll show you a video on that. So yeah, it was actually a historical month close for Bitcoin, and if we look here, this is the first month in history when Bitcoin closed at that price, and it actually closed at the previous I'm saying previous all-time high because on a lot of charts, and I know it depends from exchange to exchange, the all-time high was different. However, on the Bitstamp, for example, right here, Bitcoin already surpassed the previous all-time high, not by a lot, by a small amount. It went to $9,900, and this is the first month in history when Bitcoin closes at that price, and actually it closes at the previous all-time high. So it is a very important moment in history, and we managed to see it. That's actually we lived through all of this. I lived through all of this bear market. It was an interesting thing to see, and I can't wait to live through the entire bull market because I believe this was the confirmation of the bull market, and we will see it happening in the future. By the way, don't forget, you will see media. I mean, we need to smash this. We need to smash the previous all-time high area, and I'm not talking about with $100. We need to go to 21, 22, 23 to get real attention from people. And this is and you'll see a lot of coverage on the media. It already began. Unfortunately, I've seen a lot of FUD as well. The old story about about money laundering and everything, and actually you can search money laundering on my YouTube channel, and I'm talking about money laundering in Bitcoin and why that's actually kind of BS, because the biggest money laundering schemes are happening at much bigger levels with bigger money, with institutions that you actually trust, or banks that you trust, or governments and stuff like that. Bitcoin is the least list of your problems in terms of money laundering. Actually, Bitcoin has a transaction that has all the transactions public on the ledger, so the technique has improved a lot, and they can track criminals. And there are a lot of articles on how they do this already, and how they can improve on this. And basically, of course, when there's something new that is revolutionary, it will have some downsides or some small flaws that you can actually fix, not close it entirely because it has some small flaws, but it cut down the revolution. And because it is revolutionary, you'll have to work on it, and that's what's happening now. They will be improve this technique and remove even the risk at this point. But let's stick to it. I wanted to say that you will see a lot of news. Some of it will be FUD. Ignore it. There are a lot of people that basically Bitcoin represents decentralized evolution of the decentralized system. Actually, the birth of the first decentralized system, we see evolution of the centralized system as well. And actually, that's the CBDCs, the central banks digital currencies, will be the evolution of the centralized system. And we seen that China already launched, and everybody else is thinking about launching their own central bank digital currency. And I know they are saying that they're seeing investing and stuff like that, but I believe that the decision was already made. It's only a matter of time when they launched. You will see a video. Then Europe actually, and Christine Lagarde already confirms that it will happen. US is still playing around with the idea, and Brian Brooks already talked about it in terms of He's thinking about involving the private sector, because if they wanna leave it to the government, and China already launched, right? If they want to leave it to the government to catch up with China, they will be already too late in the game. They're saying that they could unleash the power of the private sector with the companies that already did it, already did a big part of the solved a big part of the problem already. So that's very interesting to see. But however, we will see the evolution of centralized systems as well, right? And we will see a lot of FUD, because there are a lot of people that are influenced by this decentralized system that is getting more power. It gets more coverage, it gets more adoption, and it actually messes up their plans. You will see a lot of FUD here as well. That's why I'm saying to ignore them. And actually, if you look back at most of them, even Peter Schiff, he's a gold bug. He's constantly trying to bash Bitcoin. I believe that the cemetery is the Bitcoin cemetery is full of crosses that were given by Peter Schiff. He doesn't want to accept Bitcoin or the evolution of it, but he has his own interest in gold. So basically, a lot of people are kind of pissed at Bitcoin and the fact that they're losing some of their influential power because of the evolution of decentralized systems. So keep that in mind. So basically, this was a very big close here. We had a month that was historical from the price perspective, and look in the previous cycle. And by the way, we're talking about some stuff, and I've seen, by the way, on Twitter, if you want to see a lot of activity from my side, you can follow me on Twitter. I'm much more active there than YouTube, because it's easier to post a tweet, right? And if you want to follow my activity there, this is my Twitter account. Let's go back to the chart. So there are a lot of fundamental things that people need to learn when going into this market, and I believe that one of the most important part is to look a bit of the history. And I believe that I believe in market cycles, what happened until now, and the fact that Bitcoin is actually the driver of the crypto market, because it is the biggest, and it is the first. So the cycles are actually influenced, from my perspective, by the Bitcoin halving events. You can read more about the halving events, but definitely I believe that basically they are a very big influencer, and the halving events, basically what they do, they at 4 years the complexity of the algorithm doubles. So basically, with the same power in the same amount of time, with the same energy, you will get twice less Bitcoin. So it happens once per 4 years, and basically it's an adjustment of supply and demand. And I believe that is a very strong influencer on the market cycles. So imagine that miners, before this cycle and before the previous halving that happened this May in 2020, there were about 1,800 1,800 Bitcoins mined per day. That's a sell pressure, because most of the miners are actually they constantly sell their Bitcoin. Since May, only 900 are produced per day. So a lot of the sell pressure on the market, constant sell pressure, is reduced by half. So that happens every 4 years. So I believe that's what's driving the Bitcoin cycles. And the other cycles of the other cryptocurrencies are driven by Bitcoin. And let me see if I can find... it's not working properly, this indicator, but Let me pause for a little. Okay, sorry about that. It was my fault basically, and not actually necessarily my fault, but I couldn't see the indicator here. It's an indicator that I found that shows the previous halving dates. It's the one this red lines, and it didn't work on monthly, so it shows you on weekly. But you can see that the first one that we see here was 19 November. It was somewhere in December 2012. The second one was in July 2016. The next one was in this during this May, and the next one will be on the 6th of May 2024, more in May 2024. It might not be an exact date, but I believe that this is what's driving the cycles, and this is interesting to see. This marks basically when usually Bitcoin hits the top of the cycle, and this is actually, look at this, basically at the end in December. Basically, it happens usually in December. We don't have a lot of data to go on, right? So it might differ. There are a lot of theories here and the lengthening market cycles, and actually you can I actually think that you should look at my video where I'm talking about market cycles, accumulation phases, smart money, and cryptocurrencies. So I've seen people saying that don't worry, Bitcoin will go back to 4K, because it always did go back to a much lower value each year after it reached the previous all-time high, right? And I'm saying that if this cycle actually began at the bull market, we won't see that price ever again. Look because this is for example the previous cycle, right? After, and we are here basically. We are here, and I'm constant not here. So we are in December. We are here, something like that. So after it went up, we never saw prices like this again, right? And if this is the beginning of the bull market, we're not going to see prices like this ever again, right? So, of course, this is just a theory, and you should see some of the other theories or another theory with the lengthening market cycles in the video that I told you about a few seconds back. But if this is happening, we're not going to see this again, guys. Right, or this actually. So that's something that is important to think about. One thing that I also wanted to show you was XRP and how it moved. Right, look at this. Look at how XRP moved here, and we can also not here. Money XRP. Look at this. It moved so nice. Look at this candle. Candles here. Or monthly. If you put it on the monthly, it's even more impressive. Look at this candle. Bam. I told you guys, when XRP moves, it moves fast, it melts faces, and this is only the beginning. I believe that's only the beginning. It's something interesting to see. Basically, look what happened in the past, and I'm saying, that we are talked about in the previous videos about the fact that in 2017 we also had two alt season, right? Two altcoin seasons, and if this happens with again, we might have an alt season soon, and this might actually be the beginning of it. And also, I wanted to show you something and again reinforce this, because I believe that a lot of people miss this, because people are looking at the graph like this in percentage. And if you look at this, you actually will miss this important, very, 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 very important past data from XRP's chart. Because if you look here, look at this from the visual perspective, and I hate this representation because it's bullshit from my perspective. I would never use it. It's look. It seems that the last part of the bull market for XRP and this pump was the biggest. It was not the biggest. This was the biggest. It's 7,000% compared to 1.6,000%. So it's much bigger, but this cannot be seen on this graph. So this is why I much prefer the logarithmic chart. People are missing. Even people that have been here in the market for a while have missed this. I don't know how, but they have no idea what XRP did in the past. Look at this part. It's amazing. I mean, it did a 70x and then a 16x, but this was the most important pump. And people say that, okay, XRP lost a lot of this value, 90%, it's a scam, bullshit like that. And well, by the way, Bitcoin lost more than 80, so the difference of 10% makes it a scam. Well, to each his own. This is not financial advice. You do you, I do me. But this is something that people miss. They don't understand the potential of XRP. They don't understand what XRP does, and they don't know what it did in the past. So, because they missed this very important aspect, and actually, so it went 70x and 16x, and basically on the bull market, the bear market, it actually retained the first pump. Most of the first pump it actually retained, guys, right? Only the second pump was corrected. That's really, really important to understand. It's not don't listen to all of the bullshit FUD you listen to about XRP. Now, just to summarize here, it's basically this is an interesting candle that we see here on the monthly. And what happened here? It was in March, right? What was happening with Bitcoin at that point? And let's go back to Bitcoin, because I believe that they are very well correlated. And if we have two alt seasons, it's very important to watch Bitcoin as well. So, what was happening with Bitcoin? It was the end of the month, the February candle. It was the first monthly candle to close at the previous all-time high. And then in March, the alts exploded, right? If this is the correlation behind it, and there's too much data on everywhere, that it might not be the case. But if they are correlated, this is the first candle in the previous cycle when it closed at the previous all-time high. Does that ring a bell? It just happened yesterday. So this is the first candle that it closes at the previous all-time high. What if it is very well correlated to we will see another alt season, and if it happens, we will see it soon. And by the way, I also believe that this will happen if when Bitcoin will breach the previous all-time high and obliterate it, meaning that reaching 20k is not enough. We need Bitcoin to move not to 20.1 but 21, 22, maybe 23, for people to get the attention, because that's when Bitcoin when people will understand that this, and they go past the disbelief phase into the next phase, and they will understand that it's just the beginning of another bull market, and then it will go even much higher. But in the meanwhile, alts will explode as well. And what we discussed in the past, if you remember, it also about the fact that 20k is a very emotional area, and we're gonna see a lot of buying, a lot of selling, a lot of FUD, everything, a lot of things going on here. And you've seen that basically in the previous. You've seen that we had a few drops, actually quite big, not as big as the last one, because the last one actually had a 34% drop. This one was only a 17%, and we must go to the weekly to understand it. This was a 17% drop. This was good. Maybe this is not the last one. Maybe we'll see, but I believe that we need to go a little bit higher so we can see another drop or a correction. And by the way, remember, even in a bull market, and you must understand this, it's nothing goes in a straight line. You will see a lot of corrections on the way up. Also, when we enter the bull market, if I am correct, and this is just I believe that this is just the beginning of the bull market, try to set yourself have a strategy. Try to set to answer your own question on why did you get on crypto? Will a 2x, a 3x be something that was it the reason? Is it enough? Because I believe that 2 or 3x is not why I got in crypto. I mean, that's just another. That's too usual in crypto. I'm talking about much bigger prices. For example, I do believe in a $10 XRP. I know people say that I'm crazy because the market cap is so big and stuff like that. And by the way, I have a video on that, and I really urge you to see it because I'm talking about the world money, XRP, the market cap, and that's why I believe that the market cap and the fact that billions sound big for us, it's not necessarily that big compared to the world money. And for a short preview on this is basically this is now almost twice in size, but look at the other things and represent the money. So if this represents the cryptocurrency and put a 2x on this, look at the military spending, the US budget deficit, the coins and banknotes, 6.6 trillion, the Fed's balance sheet, 7 trillion, the billionaires, it's 8 trillion, the gold, it's more than 10 trillion, Fortune 500, it's the stock market, it's 90 trillion almost, the money supply, 95 trillion, the global debt, 250 trillion, global real estate, 280 trillion. We were talking about the global wealth with that is about 63 trillion. Derivatives, and notional value, for example, it's 550 trillion. Look at the notional value, 1 quadrillion. So go back here. This is the crypto market. Look at the money. Look at the money. I'm going to scroll back a little bit. Do you think that this is so much money? Do you want to see this again? Do you really want to see this again? I'm just saying, we are just the beginning. We will see a lot of, we will see even more cycles in the crypto market. We will see the evolution that you probably cannot even think about it in prices and even in adoption. And I believe that at one point we will see the crypto market and Bitcoin evolve into a different kind of asset that has much less volatility and might in time look like similar to the S&P 500, because it's just the beginning of the market, right? Look at this. We might see something like this with Bitcoin when it grows and it matures, right? But until then, let's go back to our own business. So yeah, this is a huge potential. So I do believe in a $10 XRP and even more, but in Bitcoin, bigger values in Bitcoin, I do believe that in time Bitcoin will probably even reach $1 million. Not in this cycle, but at one point it might. And I cannot tell you when, even how much, but I do believe that we will see some things that we cannot think about it now, because we are actually blocked by our own box thinking with the values that we actually think are big, because we have no idea about how much money is in the world. And this is why I wanted to show you this, right? So bear in mind that if we are at the beginning of the bull market, we will see a lot of activity on the upwards as well, corrections and everything, but definitely this will be an interesting thing to live through. However, keep in mind that this will also be emotional. I mean, yeah, the bear market was not that fun to go through, and congratulations to everybody who managed to hold through, to learn how to handle it, to buy in the good accumulation phases and stuff like that. Congratulations to everyone from going through it. But don't remember that the bull market can also be emotional. Try to set up a strategy. Don't change your strategy based on your emotions. Try to set up some price levels that you want to get profits, and I would advise you that I told you that you shouldn't buy everything in one point, or hunt for the best moment in time to buy at the cheapest value, or to sell at the best price, the biggest value, because it's very hard to predict, more probably impossible or very improbable to predict. So I would say that have multiple entry points and multiple exit points, so create more steps out, and definitely think about the fact that you will see money that you didn't expect that you will have, and then you'll get emotional and think about it. I don't want to lose them, and you're gonna sell them. But are you are okay with losing the upside potential? Because I'm not saying that you shouldn't take profits, but think about the potential and why you got in crypto. You shouldn't, from my perspective, I'm not giving you any financial advice, but I wouldn't be very impressed with 2, 3x, maybe even 5x. I mean, I got here for more than that, more than 10x. So keep that in mind. So, and basically, I wanted to also show you something very interesting here. I told you that this dip here was 17%. It went back to almost $16,000 from 19.4. So that's a big drop but in percentage not as big as when we did something like similar in the past in the previous cycle, because I told you if we are trying to compare in a moment in past, it should be 2016 December, not 2017 December, because the 2016 December it was the beginning of the bull run. In the December 2017 it was the end of the bull run. The things were moving differently, and I believe that we are the beginning of the bull run from this cycle. So this was a more emotional drop, or the biggest drop here, and I wanted to show you that there are a lot of discussions here, people saying that it was the CEO of Coinbase saying that some regulations are coming in on wallets and doing KYC on all of the wallets, and that could badly influence the crypto market and the DeFi sector. But I don't believe that is the case, and I've seen something that I believe that it has a better explanation. I'm gonna let you watch this.
Why did Bitcoin crash here? Price was inches from the all-time high 2 days in a row. Then what happened? I'm CTO Larson. I think I have the answer, and it's likely not what you think. Was it this tweet from Brian Armstrong? No, I don't think so. I have so many great friends in the US, and the cute thing with Americans is that many subconsciously think that the world starts on Long Island and ends in Seattle. I like to use this chart to understand the world. Number of mobile subscriptions in millions from the Ericsson Mobility Report. North America, which includes Canada, is here. Europe, which I'm part of, is this tiny bar over here. Then, if we look downwards, we see this blue bar. Asia Pacific, excluding China and India. Then China here, India, Nepal, Bhutan here. Okay, as you see, these together are pretty big. I'm in Stockholm, Sweden now, but I've lived 10 years in Asia, and almost all Westerners constantly underestimate Asia. There's a lot of people there, guys, and they're not living in a beach hut. Let's now go back and look at the Bitcoin price in more detail. What happened was to many very unexpected. Price was going very strong here. On November 24th, it hit 19,442, then backed up a little bit. Then the next day, on November 25th, it crossed over that high and was up at 19,490. I mean, I was excited here. Usually I trade larger time frames, but this time I was glued to the screen. That fun lasted only 6 minutes before price started backing up. Price then completed this double top by breaking down this neckline at 18,640, and we got this bigger drop of 16% from the top. So what happened? Usually, I like to analyze the price action, not get caught up in why it happened. But I feel there is such a big learning here. I read on Twitter that most people attribute the drop to this tweet from Brian Armstrong, CEO of Coinbase in the US. Last week, we heard...
I will go directly to the explanation. That seems more likely.
Here something else was cooking, OKX. They have had their huge exchange closed for withdrawals through this entire bull run. Something with a Chinese state and a key holder was not available. So through this entire bull run, there has been millions of Asians, millionaires and billionaires, biting their fingernails not knowing if those withdrawals will ever open up, or if this will be another case of an exchange saying, we lost your Bitcoin, sorry. Look here in this article on Nasdaq. Ki Yong-yu, Chief Executive Officer of CryptoQuant, said in a tweet, the reopening of withdrawal service on OKX could cause price volatility because of bulk withdrawal requests. This article is from November 24th, well before the dump. Here we see the tweet from OKX, posted 6 a.m. November 26th, my time zone, which is 5 a.m. UTC. I don't know if the actual opening was a little earlier than the tweet, but for sure, it was known in the inner circle earlier that the opening was going ahead. So a few hours earlier was here. And for sure, this was known at the peak here. So now imagine, you've sat since October 16th, when Bitcoin price was 11,000, not knowing if you've gotten rich or if you've lost all your money because some guy or the Chinese state took it. Then it turns out you're actually getting it back. Wouldn't you want to take at least most of your money out? Of course you would. So people started selling and withdrawing money here, which started off this dip. And then of course it gets self-reinforcing when stop losses hit, etc. So while you couldn't predict Brian's tweet.
So I believe that this is a much better explanation. There are a lot of users there, and imagine yourself in this position, so buying before Bitcoin was 11,000, let's say, or much lower prices than today, and having the money blocked into OKX, and not knowing basically if you're gonna ever get your money back. Maybe the keys were not found, maybe the government confiscates everything. So what would you do when this opens up? You and I would do the same thing. I would extract all of my money from there, especially if you already have profits, right? It's 19,000. And it's actually, I believe that this is the one of the biggest unintended pumps and dumps because what happened there was probably they got all of the money out, and I would have got everything out. I wouldn't trust OKX ever again. I would move to another exchange, but in the meanwhile I will take my money off and then try to move to another exchange. And it took a while, because if you move to another exchange, probably it takes a while for the money to get to that exchange. Well, I don't know, but definitely takes a while to move from one exchange to another. And I do believe that a lot of people move their money out of that exchange, and that caused the big drop. But then if they were crypto believers, basically they moved to other exchanges and they inserted the money again into Bitcoin, and bought at lower prices. So basically they even made profit, or managed to stack up more Bitcoin than before, selling them from the OKX exchange at 19.4 K. So I believe that was interesting to watch. And by the way, very interesting perspective on the fact that Asia plays a very big role here, and don't underestimate it. We tend to have more news from Western countries or US, and we're trying to correlate everything with what happened, what's going on in US and what happens there. But I do believe that that's not the only thing that we should watch, and probably it's very to some degree you cannot watch everything in the same time, but I do believe that you have more data from US, and the correlations happen too often with only US without taking into consideration what's going on in Asia. So yeah, that's something that I wanted to show. And by the way, let's move to another subject. I wanted to also talk about let's do a small recap of what happened this year. So this year was showing a very good direction for cryptocurrencies. So from the beginning of the year, we had some major events like US banks were given a green light to hold and trade cryptocurrency. That's huge. That's huge on itself. Probably that's the biggest news that we have this year on crypto. The second, another thing that happened was central banks everywhere started to talk about CBDCs, central banks digital currencies, and wanting to issue digital money. Basically, make no mistake, this is the evolution of the centralized system, and it will clash with the decentralized system. It will be interesting to see how it clashes, how it integrates, I do believe that we will see we will see a lot of cases here, also FUD, but also a lot of opportunities, because they will need one another. I do believe that they will need the centralized system will need the decentralized system at one point, or the integration to work with it. So it will be interesting to see how it evolves, but also we will see a lot of people getting accommodated by the fact that Bitcoin or the decentralized system chip away from their power and influence in different areas and sectors, industry sectors and areas. So basically we will see a lot of FUD going on. So that's one I wanted to say this, because it's important to think about it, and dismiss the FUD basically, because it's just some frustrated people that that want to slow down Bitcoin and the decentralized system. So basically we have central bank the currencies in place. We have the IMF talking about it. We have World Economic Forum. We have a lot of people talking about them. It basically, they have acknowledged the fact that they are working on them, or they're studying the possibility of adding such thing. We have the China launched their CBDCs. Basically, that's from my perspective, and I told you before, I believe that everything else that was said afterwards by the other big players on the big countries, big leaders in the free world, about studying stuff like that. Basically, this decision was already made. China forced them to do this. They don't have any other choice, because China already actually said that they are building this to take away some power from the dollar itself, which has too much control and too much power that they want to chip away from. So they don't have any choice. They have to respond with that. We've seen Jerome Powell saying that they don't want to be the first. They don't just want to be doing it correctly. Well, they're not the first. They cannot be the first. We already have a first, right? And everybody says that. I mean, they have to acknowledge that they cannot be the first anymore, and not saying that they don't want to be the first because blah blah blah. They are not. So they're each are trying to respond in a different way. I believe that Brian Brooks said something very interesting here. The fact that he mentioned that the decentralized systems are very important. He mentioned that, by the way, the decentralized systems are also to some degree in China's control because of the hash power and the miners that are in China for Bitcoin and Ethereum. That's interesting, and I don't want to create here any discussion about that, even if it's not necessarily true. If Brian Brooks and the government, U.S. government, believe so, that's the most important thing to take from this. I don't believe that Bitcoin can be killed, maybe influenced or slowed down. In any case, but he also mentioned that if they're trying to catch up with China and have US create their own digital dollar by the government, it will take them back for 3-4 years, and they will be already it will be already too late, because China will be much ahead of them, and that's why he mentioned that one of the ideas is to unleash the private sector that already has solutions in place that can solve a lot of the payments problems. And wink, wink, we know some companies that already think about this, and this is their narrative, basically. Wink. So I was looking at the microphone. I don't know why. You guys are there. The camera is there. Yeah, this is. I definitely think that it makes more sense. I definitely think that it makes more sense than having the government create the CBDC or the digital dollar or whatever solution for the payments itself, because the private sector is faster. And he also mentioned that, for example, gave an example about the messaging apps that we have to send messages, that we have multiple messaging apps that we can use to send messages from one to another, and that can be and should be the same thing with sending money. There shouldn't be only one. There should be multiple players on the market that can solve the problem in a different way and create competition for it to be ahead and have constant evolution on this part, than only the government being able to control this and to keep up with the other markets, because it will do poor job. So that's one thing. But on the other side, for example, Christine Lagarde already confirmed that Europe will have a digital euro, and I'm going to show you this from the Bearable Bull.
Several members of the audience are asking how central banks see the prospects for central bank digital currencies, and also whether this would risk crowding out cash and non-cash electronic payments. Let's start with Chair Powell.
So here at the Fed and in the United States, we're committed to carefully and thoughtfully evaluating the potential costs and benefits of a central bank digital currency, which we all call a CBDC, for the U.S. economy, for our payment system, and also for the international implications. We've been actively participating with Andrew and Christine and other central banks at the BIS to look at this, and we feel that's been a very productive collaboration. We haven't made a decision to issue a central bank digital currency, and we think there's quite a lot of work yet to be done as we engage with public constituencies here in the United States and around the world before making a decision. Also, the dollar is the world's principal reserve currency, and I assure you that we will approach that question with great care. From our standpoint, the main focus is on whether and how a CBDC could improve what is.
We're not racing to be first, and we believe that a digital euro will not be a substitute for cash. It will be a complement to cash, and clearly, it's not. It's not a nicety. It's not a tantrum. It is something that, if it is cheaper, faster, more secure for the users, then we should explore it.
In the beginning of the clip,
so yeah, they already confirmed this. That's the future. I mean, I had a very interesting discussion with a father of a very good friend of mine who has more than who's more than 50 years old, and he mentioned something that I believe is very accurate in terms of we are seeing this discussion of digitalization of everything, right? Of moving to digital era. Why would you ever think that money wouldn't go in the same direction? Why would you ever think that? That's I mean, I was very surprised because usually people over that age are not as open-minded, but that's a very, very good point. Think about it. Everything is going digital. Why wouldn't money go digital? Right? It is inevitable. You can quote me on that. You can actually quote me on that. It is 100% inevitable. It's only a matter of time. The decision has already made. Okay. So basically, that's what I wanted to show you on the CBDCs. Let's continue what happened in 2020. Another bullish thing what happened is PayPal. PayPal confirmed to have support for crypto. It added it recently. Basically, it will extend this for 28 million merchants to use crypto. That's huge because it will increase the adoption. And then we already have seen a lot of price increase after the news. And imagine, PayPal is big. However, imagine if other bigger companies come into play, and I believe at one point it's only a matter of time, and the adoption is here. Banks will be able to trade crypto. They were given an okay. PayPal is adding crypto. It's a matter of time until we see other bigger companies like maybe Apple, maybe Google, maybe Amazon coming in, helping with the adoption. Imagine when that happens. I've seen a company, MicroStrategy, that actually moved their own cash reserve, their profits, into Bitcoin because they said that the inflation is bigger and they don't want to lose their hard-earned money, so they moved all their cash reserves into Bitcoin. They don't want to lose 15% per year. They want to keep their money safe into a safer asset. So this is actually the beginning, guys. This is the beginning. You're watching the beginning of another bull run, but you're watching the beginning of the adoption. You're watching the beginning of the digitalization of the financial sector, and not only. You're watching a revolution going on, starting and going on live. Let that sink in. So what are you going to do about it? I know what I'm going to do about it. I already started. By the way, something that I wanted to remind you is that besides investing into crypto, you should also invest into your own mind, and invest into how to use crypto in different sectors. Because I believe that when the adoption will kick in, it will be a huge demand for experts, and there will be very few experts until you will get until people get a time to learn, and it's much easier to get. It's much easier to be ahead of the game and to get really nice jobs if you are at the beginning of the adoption than at when the mass adoption already happened, and there are a lot of already experts everywhere that are probably better than you. So keep that in mind. And I believe that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. I didn't manage to do a short one. Sorry about it again. But if you like the video, please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and see you in the next one, guys. Bye.